US 29. Yeah. Alright, we got a big one again. US 29. So we got some interesting sites, and we technically already been there with US 1 the other day. We see here we'll be going from Pensacola, Florida to Baltimore-ish. We see we already been in these states except for Alabama like 2 days ago. We're watching Super Review, so if you guys have sub, please sub. Because at 1,000 subs, we are opening up a Discord server. Yeah, that server, you guys are doing great with the subs. I think we're at 770 at this point, so good job. Thank you. Alright, you can request your exit or intersection in the comments. It's free, and the future highways are on the community tab, and one of them is the one and only Chicago-Kansas City 110, which will be covered on Thursday. Alright, without further ado, we're doing one way. We're going just one way today. It's northbound, US 29. So Pensacola, Florida is where we start here at US 90. And just like the typical Florida thing, we don't get any control C for it. And just like western Florida, in this panhandle, there's literally nothing except for this Pensacola right here. We meet I-10 basically 2 miles later, and we don't get any control C's for I-10. But what would we get if we go on it? Mobile Tallahassee. I feel like Jacksonville and New Orleans would do a big, good long shot there. On I-10, we get Canton Bend. What is that? Canton? Don't even know that city at all. You see, the US 29 doesn't have an exit with US 90 alt, and it is going to Canton. So, yeah. So Canton 6 is in Florida. Century's just the last city in Florida, 33 miles away. Wow, provincialism. And north of Pensacola metro area, we just going straight into nothing, as we'll be for a while. And just like all the other roads in Florida we covered, we just get 29 north and 29 south, so that ain't good. And we get Florida 4 for J. There's an I-4 in Florida, but what about US 4? And on that 4, we get Flomaton, which is just the first city in Alabama. I feel like Atlanta would be a pretty good long shot here. And we do get an Alabama state line. Wow, is this the best we're going to get for an Alabama welcome sign? Nope, we get a... Right away we meet US 31 for Otmore, and we're going to turn right with it for Bruton. And we see we do get a pretty cool mention of I-65 right here, so we could have had Montgomery, but whatever it is fine. And when we get into our split of US 31 in Burstow, we are now signed for Andalusia. Oh. And same thing here, remaining 14 or 47 for Milton. And return left on US 29 for Andalusia. Here this is supposed to be a homeschool or something, but now it's taken apart. I don't think that should be an actual building. And here we get Bruton and Andalusia. Look, keep messing that up every time I say it. And there we meet US 84. We're going to be concurrent fast. We bypass around that Andalusia city. And see, this is the MLK Expressway, but it's not an actual expressway, because there's no major exits here. And we get our split with US 84 for OP. It's an opponent with us. We're going to Brantley and Luzier. And we pass by this nice lake. We pass by a ton of nice lakes on US 29. This is the first out of many right here in Alabama. And we meet US 231 or US 82. And goes back to Op, and we're getting Laverne now. In Laverne, we turn right for Troy as 231 heads over to Montgomery and Greenville. And same thing here. This is US 231 actually, and we are still signed for Troy as we go downtown. And we get out of Troy. There's not that much Troy stuff going on, so I just skipped downtown Troy. And we are getting Union Springs and Brundage is our direction. And we are going to turn left on US 29 for Union Springs. Well, there was another term for U.S. Springs, so it makes it confusing. See, it is Union Springs in Troy for our directions. In the Union Springs area, we're now signed for Tuskegee and Auburn, which are the correct choices. Maybe Atlanta, but those are fine. We passed by this yellow store, which is supposed to be a package store, so that's a bit weird for Alabama. It would be US 80 in Tuskegee, and this is a really weird interchange right here, US 29 and 80. See, it's a literal square that you have to perform in order to get on US 29 and all that stuff. Navarro has a pretty sharp right turn. See, here it is right here. I thought this was US 29, but I just recognized it was State Highway 8. See, right here, it does a ton of complicated stuff, so it could be very confusing in these areas. And we split US 80. We're now going to follow I-85, the 2 I-85 coming up. And we meet I-85, and wow, we don't get any control cities for I-85. Yeah, I bet you Alabama's fine with Montgomery and Atlanta. But we are concurrent with I-85. We leave it for Opelika. Don't know. And here we are in Opelika, and there's no major control cities out of it. Maybe Atlanta, because we might have another junction for I-85. Here is right here. We do actually get control cities for I-85, Montgomery and Atlanta. And this is a bit horrible. We get Georgia state line. We don't get an actual welcome to Georgia sign. Well, we technically did get an Alabama sign, but that was at the US 31 junction. But here in the first town in Georgia, we get LaGrange, which is sensible because I-85 will be faster to Atlanta. In LaGrange, Hogansville will be here next, as there's roads going to Greenville and Pine Mountain. And in Hogansville, we're now signed for Grantville, as this other highway is going to Lutherville. And we have another I-85 junction. We get Grantville and Moreland. I mean, there should be both on I-85 there. And I think in Grantville, we have this right turn for US 29. We are also concurrent with Georgia 14. And we meet Georgia 74, which is actually a freeway, but it's not an actual freeway, even though we have an on-ramp to it. And we meet Georgia 14, which takes you over to I-285, and I'll show you about that. We do not have an actual direct interchange with 285 and US 29, so you have to get on that 14 to get onto it. And we also don't mean I-20, and we're going to be parallel to it through the downtown Atlanta. And we made it to Atlanta. Here's the Hawks Arena. Celtics should always be dogs. No, there's no purpose of them losing to them. And right here's the split of I-75 and I-85 right there. You couldn't read the control cities there. And we have a cool look of downtown Atlanta right here. And Google Maps forgot about US 29 in Atlanta, so there's not a ton of stuff. See, we're going to split US 78 for Athens, and US 29 is going to Lawrenceville Highway, so no control cities, just the name of the freeway. And we do have a proper junction with I-285, but however, we don't get any control cities, which I guess it's fine for beltways. And on 285, we just get Lawrenceville Highway. And 78 is actually not concurrent with 278. Wow. And right here, we're going to turn left on US 29, and we can't get into control cities, so are we going to get a US 41 situation? And we do be concurrent with Georgia 316, but I'm not going to be doing the whole concurrency because I might do a 316 video. And we get the Sugarloaf Parkway for Lawrenceville. I feel like there should be a pull through. I think Athens would be the next control city. And right here, US 29 kind of disappears for a little bit and becomes US 78 most of the time. But they do mention US 29 here, but not on for that next time where it just mentions US 78, so that's weird. And we do get a pull through of 29, 78, 129, 441, University of Georgia with the home of 8 overtimes. And we split 441, we're now signed for Danielsville and Hartwell, which I guess are sensible. And in the Danielsville area, we just get 29 and 8, so that's not good. On the mild side, we get Franklin Springs 13 and Royston 16, so that's a alright mild sign there. And in Royalston, we get 8 for Hartwell. So Hartwell is fine out of here. And we get Athens, Livonia, turn left, but we don't get any control cities for us. I think it should be Anderson, South Carolina next. Then we pass by this nice lake as we're about to exit Georgia and go into South Carolina. And we just get Anderson County. There's no welcome to South Carolina sign. Oh, you're already doing bad so far. But we do have some good scenery as we do get a cool US 29 reassurance shield in the first couple miles of South Carolina here. And we do have another nice lake and some nice grass lawns here. So South Carolina doing pretty good even though they didn't have a welcome sign. And we US 76 and US 178. Really weird to have 178 here. And we will keep left for US 29 for Greenville as we're about to get on to I-85. US 29 is compared to I-85 until here where we meet 185 south for Columbia. We're going to follow north 185 for Greenville. And here's a look at downtown Greenville. It's like a Toronto freeway, but all the buildings are outside of Greenville. We get Lyman. We are in Lyman, South Carolina. Oh no, what are you going to do to us? But on I-85, they do not mention Lyman on northbound I-85, but they do southbound. But I'm not going to show it. We just get Spartanburg West. Here's a look at Lyman, South Carolina. And it's the weirdest city limits that anyone has seen. Wow. And we made I-26 in the Spartanburg area, Asheville, and Columbia. And US 29 is going to go downtown. And here's a look at downtown Spartanburg, basically the Twin Cities of northern South Carolina here. And we go into Grantville, Grants, the South Carolina. I don't actually know, but we got this weird splits here. And we do have our last I-85 junction here in South Carolina. And I can trust South Carolina that it's Charlotte and Spartanburg here. And third state in a row that didn't put an actual welcome sign. We just get North Carolina State line. We're gonna be in 216 right away, and we're gonna be concurrent of I-85, but not all the way to Charlotte. We get to exit 10A. We see 74 West Shelby, and we're signed for nothing because if you're going to Charlotte, 85's faster. And in Gastonia, we meet US 321. We're getting the US 41 treatment where we don't get any control cities. And we meet 485, Columbia, Spartanburg. Why Spartanburg? Use Charlotte. We just came from that area. Why? On 485, we get to CLT Airport, which is kind of sensible. You could do Charlotte because 85 doesn't go downtown. And we get to the Charlotte Airport. As mentioned on 485, it's home of American Airlines once again. And we go under I-77. But we only have an intersection of northbound. If you want to go southbound, you take US 74. And we go right by a Panther Stadium. And they're still not doing good. And they're probably never going to be good. And here's a look of downtown Charlotte. This might be our only time in Charlotte. We might be in it again. Don't know. And we get an intersection going to I-85. As we're going to be near for a couple more times. We are concurrent. We see we're now signed for Concord as I-85 goes to Georgia Lills Parkway. We are concurrent with US 601. Now it's going to leave to go to Greensboro with I-85, and US 29 is going to Kannapolis and Landis. North of those cities, we get this 152 for Rockwell and I-85, and 29 North Salisbury. Well done. Here we meet US 601 again, and US 70 now. We're going to be concurrent with US 70 and be concurrent to Greensboro. Here's a look at downtown Salisbury. This is Salisbury in North Carolina, which they're probably going to build like a 4-digit interstate too. And we are parallel to I-85 for a couple miles, but we're going to have a ton of interstate concurrency. So I'm going to jump ahead to Greensboro. We are now on I-40. We're going to leave I-40. We're going to Reedsville. And I don't know about Reedsville. Maybe Danville will be better. And here's a kind of look of Greensboro. US 29 doesn't go downtown, but it goes east of it. And we meet 840 and 785. 785 north would be on the 29 road. Raleigh, Charlotte, and Winston-Salem. On 840, we get 29 North Danville. which I think is better than Reedsville. Danville is better. At rare interchanges, North Carolina doesn't down on us, so we get Greensville and Danville. Well done. Oh, I jinxed it. It's Reedsville at the interchanges. Oh no, I haven't talked about Reedsville yet, but I can see what it is. Here's our Reedsville exit, Business 29, and they don't even mention Reedsville. So if it's on Reedsville, then put it on there. We meet the Gray US 158, which heads over to Outer Banks, as long as Eden and Yanceyville. And we do get Greensboro and Danville in north of Reedsville, so that's good. And this is a bit weird. We're meeting US 58, which is in Virginia, but the 6 is in North Carolina. We get Danville, Martinsville, and we're going to be going to Lynchburg and South Boston. And welcome to Virginia, finally, a state actually playing an actual welcome sign. Thanks, Virginia. Let's take a look at this US 58 interchange. So if you want to go south on Business 29 and north on 29, you go to North Carolina and go back into Virginia. We split 58 and 360 spawns as you go to South Boston and 29 for Lynchburg. And at random interchanges, we get Lynchburg and wow, Greensboro for south. Well done, Virginia. Well, we're in the Danville city limits, so I get it. And we meet F1045. What even is that? That's so weird. Well, there's a fire station right here anyway, so I get it. But we do the Reedsville thing. We get Gretna at our random interchanges now. But unlike Reedsville, we actually get Gretna mentioned for 29 business and 29 for Lynchburg. And north of Gretna, there's no small town in between, so we get Danville and Lynchburg in between. Finally. And we do cross this nice river. I think it's like the John Lynch River. Don't really know. And in Lynchburg, we meet 460 West Roanoke and 29 for Charlottesville and Appomattox and Liberty University. Here's that Liberty University mentioned on 29 and 460 East. And we have our split with 501. Guys, it goes to Buena Vista, and we're going to have a 3 U.S. Highway concurrency with Charlottesville and Appomattox. And we, at random interchanges, it is Charlottesville and Appomattox. So there's a big junction in Lynchburg, so I get Lynchburg. Lynchburg's fine. And we split 460 for Appomattox. I feel like Richmond or Petersburg should be on there. 29's going to Amherst and Charlottesville. Well done. And we crossed the one and only James River. It's basically the Hudson River of Virginia. And we do get business 29 in Amherst, as 29, regular 29 goes to Charlottesville. We meet the great US 60, might get to that one day, for Amherst, Lexington, and Richmond. And some nice views. We're kind of in the Shenandoah Valley here in Virginia. The only times we've been in Virginia is to talk some DC stuff, so this is cool. In Charlottesville, we meet I-64 for Richmond and Staunton. We're now for Charlottesville and Culpeper for 29. But we meet US 250 for Charlottesville and Waynesboro, and we get Washington. Washington should be signed out. Charlottesville, good job. And we split 250. That's 29 goes to Washington. So no Culpeper. Culpeper is a secondary. But we meet US 33 for Harrisburg and Richmond, and we're switched to Culpeper. There's like 3 US highway junctions, so I get it. One of them's US 15 for Culpeper and Orange, and for some reason there's 2 different signs for Washington and Warrenton here. But we do meet 522 for Mineral and Fredericksburg. Fredericksburg is for 3, because I think 522 starts around here. And we cross the Rappahannock River, the north-south dividing line, so we're done with the southern US for a little bit. And we meet US 17 south for Fredericksburg and 995, and it's going to join us for Warrenton and Leesburg. 17 will split us for Winchester and Warrenton to 66 and I-81. Wow! 1529 Leesburg, Washington. And when 15 leaves us for Leesburg, we're now signed for Fairfax and Washington. Sensible choice. We made I-66 east for Washington, west for Front Royal, which kind of makes sense. 60 Front Royal is the biggest city west of there. And we meet 495 also. Well, this is on US 50, as 29 is like a block north of here. That's the corner of Richmond. And then we cross over I-66 another time, but we're going to be concurrent with it and interchange later to go into DC. Here's that bridge that I-66 and US 29 share to go into the DC city limits. I'm not going to do a lot of DC on US 29 because I talked a lot of DC on US 1 not that long ago and 395 too. And we meet New Hampshire Avenue, and look at this crosswalk. Do you think people need the entire road to cross? And we cross into Maryland, and as of US 1, we didn't get a welcome to Maryland sign. We just get a reassurance shield with US 29. But this could be a cool welcome to Maryland sign. We cross under like a Union Station here. And we meet the northern end of 495. We're getting Columbia, which makes sense. That's where US 29 ends. And there were many trains, so they do stick with it. Washington and Columbia. So, well done, Maryland. And we meet this hidden 370 road, which goes to eastbound I-95. 95 isn't an east-west road. And at Pulfers, it's still 29 North Columbia. So, that is still good. And we jump ahead to the end at I-70, east for Baltimore, west for Frederick. Don't like that at all. But US 29 keeps going and does an I-65 situation, just ends at this stoplight, like half a mile north of I-70, which is kind of weird. Alright, we did all of US 29, so let's do the way it should be for northbound US 29. Somewhere US 29 North, Atlanta, July 65, Bruton, Andalusia, Troy, Auburn, Valley, LaGrange, Newman, Union City, Eastport, Atlanta, Tucker, Lilburn, Lawrenceville, Athens, Royston, Hartwell, Anderson, Williamson, Greensville, Greer, Non-Lyman, Spartanburg, Gaffney, Kings Mountain, Gastonia, Belmont, Charlotte, Kannapolis, Salisbury, Lexington, High Point, Greensboro, Danville, Lynchburg, Charlotte, Washington, Columbia, I-70. Alright, DreamWise Control Cities for US 29 North. Atlanta, Greenville, Charlotte, Spartanburg, Charlotte, Greensboro, Danville, Lynchburg, or Washington, because US 29 is the fastest to Washington. Lynchburg, Charlottesville, Washington, then Columbia, and then maybe throw in some I-70 at the end. Alright, CKC 110 on Thursday. Specifically, Chicago to Kansas City was 110.